Welcome to the Hashimoto's Doctor Podcast. You're now part of a growing community of people determined to take their health back through education and self-empowerment. But because of the healthcare system today, we don't have access to the types of healthcare that we want. So we have to do things differently. We've got to do things smarter, and we do that by becoming our own advocates. This podcast will give you the perspective and thoughts of one of the world's leading Hashimoto's doctors. So let's get started. Hi everyone, Dr. Shook here. I hope you're doing well today. In today's podcast, I want to talk to you about the importance of varying your diet, changing your diet. This is something that I see trends and things come and go all the time in functional medicine, alternative medicine, you name it, right? And I think one of the biggest things that I've picked up on in the last year is that there are a lot of people following a lot of different types of fad diets. And I'm not saying fad is a derogatory statement. I'm just simply stating that there are trends that come and go. Things like autoimmune paleo diets, ketogenic diets, the DASH diet, you name it. And some that have been around forever, like Atkins, all these different types of diets that people may subscribe to try and improve their health, lose weight, whatever it may be. Well, of course, most of the people that I work with are autoimmune. They have autoimmune thyroid problems, and they use or they hear that diet may be beneficial, so they change their diet. What I've been seeing a lot of lately is that people are changing their diet and they feel better. A lot of them feel better. I think removing inflammatory foods, potentially inflammatory foods from your diet can very significantly help you to feel better. However, these people maintain the same diet for a prolonged period of time. They don't change it. Like, hey, I feel better on this diet. I'm going to stay on this diet forever. And it seems logical, but the problem becomes that when you constantly expose your body to the same foods, the same food proteins over and over, and you don't vary your diet, you run the risk of having immune reactions and reactions, starting to have different types of reactions to those foods. And you can start feeling bad again. And so, today I spoke with someone who has been on one diet for several months, and they're starting to feel bad again. And they're like, I don't understand it. I felt so good at the beginning. And I was like, well, you have to vary your diet. And if you changed your diet and you felt better, then something relating to the foods is likely a contributing factor, right? Obviously, there's something that was contributing to the improvement of the symptoms, whether it's a diet that is higher in nutrients or higher in fibers, and that changes your gut bacterial balance, and that results in better and improved symptomatology. Well, then that's great. But the reality is that if you stay with the same diet, you're more likely to start developing food sensitivities and reactivity. You will also start to have, these foods that you are eating your diet can also become more and more narrowed and restricted, because you change your diet, you're eating a diet that you feel good on, then you start having reactions to some of the foods, you're not feeling well. You may start taking more of those foods out of your diet that you've had a good response to, right? This new diet, you start removing and restricting more and more food, which what results is that your diet becomes more and more restricted. So one of the key things to keep in mind here is that if you're reacting to foods, that's probably not the only piece of the puzzle, right? So if you have intestinal permeability, or the lay term is leaky gut, and you change your diet and you feel better, then part of that's probably because you did have immune reactivity to some of the foods you were eating. So this new diet, there's new foods, new proteins that you haven't eaten in a long time, and your immune system is not familiar with them, so you don't react to them at first. But if you have this persistent leaky gut or intestinal permeability that's not improved, then eventually you start reacting to those new food proteins, and you start having some of the same symptoms that you had before. So the key is understanding the complete picture and looking at, so this person that I spoke with, I suspect there is, either intestinal autoimmunity. There's a family history of celiac disease, or there's some type of pathogen or chemical that's driving an inflammatory process that is promoting and inhibiting optimal repair of the intestinal lining. Maybe there's a parasite or something locally. Maybe there's yeast overgrowth. There's a lot of different things that could inhibit and impact the healing of the intestinal lining. So there's something else that's missing, is what it comes down to. So further investigation needs to be done. So that's what we're going to do, but I just wanted to share this with you because it's so important to understand that, changing your diet is great and it helps a lot of people, but you've got to rotate your diet. Even when I work with people and we find out what kind of foods they're reacting to immunologically, we want to change their diet, we want to get them feeling better, but then we want to vary their diet. We don't want to keep them on the same things forever, or they're more likely to start reacting to those foods. It's also very important to have a very diverse diet, diverse in different types of plant-based fibers, proteins, so that you can have very diverse digestive tract bacteria, a very diverse microbiome. We know that diversity in microbiome is very important to your overall health and function. So I wanted to share that with you today because so many people are jumping on these diets and they think that's the answer, and a lot of people feel better on them, but for how long? That's the question, for how long? So you've still got to investigate the root drivers of the process of what is happening. It's easy to change your diet, and it's a very powerful tool that we utilize and that I'm an advocate of. I just want to make sure that you understand that if you start reacting to foods, well, first of all, you have to vary your diet. And if you start reacting to foods, there's very likely another mechanism that has been missed that is not food-based. So you got to dig deeper. But anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I hope this has been very, very helpful. I appreciate you hanging out with me for a few minutes today, and I look forward to talking to you guys on the next podcast. Thanks. Thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed hanging out behind the scenes with Dr. Shook. You can also talk with and learn from Dr. Shook through Facebook Live on our Facebook page at the Office of Dr. Brad Shook. Don't forget, you can also get access to our videos, guidebooks, and thyroid programs at www.drbradshook.com. Oh yeah, and don't forget one more thing. We can change the world one person, one family, and one community at a time. Until next time, remember, today is your day, and no one will tell you who you are and what you can be.